Well, hello there. Thanks for tuning in. This is Sean with Sean Barker Coaching, and you are watching a promo description video for mental and emotional wellness coaching services. Now, I have basically been something of a life coach for pretty much my entire life, as far back as I can remember. But in regards to this particular service, there's a whole nother layer of qualification, and that is that I am a state licensed qualified mental health professional for adults. And I've been working in community-based mental health for more than a decade. So I want to talk about what the difference between coaching and counseling is, and talk about sort of like my scope of practice as a wellness coach. And so it's important to note that as a QMHP-A, qualified mental health professional for adults, I am not considered a licensed professional counselor. And that is because there are differences in education level, passing state boards. There's another layer of continuing education requirements, although I do have my own continuing education requirements, etc. And there's sort of a difference in the types of service structures that you can work in at the layer that I occupy. And so I particularly am, I guess, more even qualified as a coach than a counselor would be, because the service structure that I've been working in is essentially a coaching-based service. And here in Virginia, we call it skill building, mental health skill building. And that's pretty much what coaching is. And the difference between counseling and coaching is as follows. When it's coaching, we are always identifying your goals, articulating your goals, setting your goals, making a plan to meet your goals, and then achieving those goals. Whereas counseling, that's more about what we would call traditional psychoanalysis. So if you envision like someone laying on a couch and telling everyone telling someone all of your deepest, darkest secrets and problems, and then the counselor listens to those problems and can diagnose you. They can decide what appropriate diagnostic label would attach to your problems, and then most counselors, if you are a psychiatrist, you can prescribe medicine, but most LPCs, licensed professional counselors, would actually more so prescribe other types of interventions. So a counselor can help you determine your best fit interventions, which is another thing that I can assist with. But as the coach, what we're doing is we're actually building the skills necessary for you to achieve wellness. And I think that the coaching aspect really fits better with a holistic approach to mental and emotional wellness than a lot of times the counseling can. Although that's just because of the paradigm in which counseling takes place today, because it's sort of subsumed under modern Western medicine. So it's kind of limited in that way. Now, I'm not telling anyone to turn away from counseling. Counseling can be a very beneficial thing, because I guess the end goal there is helping you understand yourself better, right? That's kind of what happens through the the counseling process. Now, what I do can, just by the virtue of you getting my perspective, that can, as a byproduct of the coaching process, help you gain some more understanding. But I'm not here to diagnose you, and I'm not here to have you. I'm not necessarily here for you to be endlessly psychoanalyzing yourself through me. You know, that's kind of like not the purpose of coaching. When it comes to coaching, we are setting goals, and the implied goal for mental and emotional wellness coaching is for you to achieve wellness. So when I'm doing it in community-based mental health through the mainstream state-funded structure, our goal is to keep people out of the hospital system. So keep people out of needing a higher level of care from that managed care perspective. And that's why it's community-based mental health. But the process is the same. We set your goals, we identify your goals, and then I'm there to teach you any skills that you need in order to maintain your stability so that you don't have to revert to a higher level of care. In this structure that we're doing through Sean Barker Coaching, you're coming to me. It's not like a state managed thing or whatever. So you personally are funding it. So you should come to me with a level of self-awareness to where you should more or less have your goals in mind already, and or within the first couple sessions, we should be able to pull your goals out of you. Okay, we should be able to help articulate your goals through our work together. And so the people who come into this service need to be the people who are very serious about getting well. That's kind of the whole point. And we structure your plan of getting well in light of my mental health expertise as well as my holistic health expertise. So there's a hair's breadth of difference there. I'm not qualified to prescribe medication or to even recommend medication, and I'll just be transparent about the fact that after working for more than a decade in managed care, in mental health managed care, I'm convinced that what the medications can actually do is very limited. I think that there are some people who need some medication for a period of time for achieving enough relief so that they can see themselves clearly and then chart their goals. But most of the work of getting better mentally and emotionally is an inside job, and it's a doing job rather than just a take this pill, take this supplement, blah, 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 blah. So as I was studying holistic health and practicing in mental health at the same time, I was able to sort of bring those worlds together. So I can actually give you some insights as to certain supplements that can help you to stabilize your mood and help with your circadian rhythms, help with your sleep cycle, help with your hormonal balancing. I mean, that's really a lot of what it ends up being. And, just connecting to some of my other services, the holistic wellness coaching, there's a strong relationship between, for example, gut health and mental health. There's a strong relationship between adrenal health and mental health. So we can help to approach it from a number of different directions. And I do believe at times that supplementation can help with mental and emotional wellness. And of course, I can help with recommending organic supplements, like stuff that you can easily purchase on your own. The difference between a drug and a supplement is that a supplement's not allowed to have side effects, or it can't be a supplement. So it's sort of like a gentler approach when it comes to those things. But the vast majority of what we do and what you need when it comes to mental and emotional wellness is how are you living? How are your existential goals being met? Do you feel that you have a strong sense of purpose in your life? Do you know what that purpose is? Are you doing anything to achieve that purpose? There's also the aspect of your circumstances. Are you in an environment that is safe for you? Are you in an environment that is supportive of you? Are you in an environment that allows you to live a balanced life? Are you taking enough time for leisure? Are you taking enough time to satisfy, let's say, creative impulses, playful impulses, that kind of thing? Or in some cases, are you doing too much of that and neglecting your responsibilities and creating more chaos for yourself by not doing things in a balanced way? So these are the types of things that we look to, and then we make structured plan. I have a personal progress plan document. And so we do SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And then we go back and we revisit those goals on a regular basis. For most people, I recommend every 3 months. Some people have like maybe a little bit of a slower timetable or like less time to devote to it. So we could look at it maybe every 6 months in some cases. But that's essentially what the process is. So the first session to 2 sessions, we might be just sort of deciding what your goals are and articulating them and putting them into language. And then that way, by having that document, it really helps to focus you. It really helps to focus your energies on like, okay, these are the specific things that I need to do to create a sense of mental and emotional wellness in my life. It can start at the relief level, but then we want to get it to the sustainability level so that we can have sustainable wellness, a sustainably happy life, basically. That's kind of what it boils down to. So I don't mind people, implicit to part of the process is you will start talking about your past. You will start talking about some things that you don't talk about with other people in terms of your thoughts and your inner feelings and your emotions and that kind of thing. And that's okay. Okay. I just want to be transparent about the fact that we, in a coaching structure, we always frame it back to your goals. And sometimes our goals need to change. Okay. Sometimes as these personal revelations come through, we might revisit that personal progress plan and say, okay, well, why don't we tweak this goal and make it this instead of this? Or why don't we replace this goal with a new goal? Sometimes that is part of the process, and that's okay. I do want to just for a moment, while I have your attention, talk about what triggering, because we have this sort of thing where triggering has become a dirty word. Like it has to be People feel entitled not to ever be triggered. Unfortunately, that's just not how the real world works. The real world will trigger you. Sometimes your counseling process which you would do with other providers, because I'm not a counselor. Sometimes that will trigger you. Sometimes the coaching progress can even trigger you. And it's never my intention. I've sort of evolved to a level to where most of the time I can say things in a very gentle, subtle way to where it's not painful for the individual. But, there are always those things that you never know, like somebody had some deep, dark secret or some unusual pressure point, or something that you wouldn't expect, or something that you don't disclose right away. So a blanket apology if you ever get triggered. But what I need you to know is that when it comes to holistic mental wellness, we actually love the triggers. We love the triggers because the triggers identify where we're weak, and the triggers identify things that we need to shift and move so that we can become stronger people, more anti-fragile people, and ultimately more mentally and emotionally well people. So just be aware that sometimes that comes into play. Okay. Now, if you do the premium service, you get a whole lot of energy healing. That's basically 2 sessions in one. You get 45 minutes of the traditional coaching process where we're looking at your goals and evaluating, and we're sort of helping you stay motivated, and we're kind of holding you accountable for what you are or are not doing toward those goals. And then the 45 minutes becomes energy healing and frequency healing, supported by biofeedback. The biofeedback is a very wonderful and powerful tool to help us along our way. It can help us precision point what supplements your body's asking for, or your energy field is asking for, that will help support your mental and emotional wellness. And it can also help us even identify emotions. A lot of people, when we do the emotional panel, you've got some lingering background subconscious emotional baggage, let's say, that you may not even be allowing yourself to be aware of at the conscious level. And a whole lot of times what ends up happening is that we can run your emotional panel, and I'll list off what's coming up. And, let's say somebody will be like 80 to 90% on board with everything I'm saying, and then we'll get to something that they want to be in denial about, okay? But then they'll come back later and say, you know what, I actually was going through that, and here's how I unpacked it later, So the biofeedback gives us that sort of diagnostic edge that helps us to more pinpoint what's going on, but it also assists with the frequency healing part, because it's sort of like this later generation Tesla tech that utilizes scalar waves to support that. And then I also bring in my energy healing through being a Reiki master and being even studying modalities of energy healing that I would consider to even be, let's say, above Reiki, or more dimensionally evolved or dimensionally advanced than Reiki, or in a lot of cases more powerful than Reiki. But it all kind of reacts to the same thing, and that's helping you to get better. So whichever service structure you come into, some people like to start off at the regular level and then progress into the advanced level. That's all well and good. But whatever you prefer to do is fine. But just be mindful that coaching and counseling are not identical. There's a little bit of overlap between them, and I'm not going to stop you if you need to, express something. If something comes up in the session, of course, a lot of times I'll have sessions booked back to back, so we have to have a time limit there, right? Based on what the service structure is. But it's not that it's wrong or it's bad for you to do some of that inner work. The more you talk, the more I get to know you, the more I can tailor the interventions and the strategies and the motivational coaching to you. But just be aware that, I'm not here to give you a diagnosis. So we can talk about diagnoses in reference to, your provider over here gave you a diagnosis, or you suspect that you might have this diagnosis, and you want to bounce it off of me and say, should I go see another provider to see if this diagnosis fits? And I can give you, whatever opinions I have based on my experience with people of those diagnoses. But we're not here to do endless amounts of psychoanalysis, and we're not here to give you those diagnoses. That's counseling, not coaching. When you come into coaching, you're at the point where you're ready to get better, and we make a solid plan for you to get better. That's what this is about. So if you're ready to get better and you want to do it in a holistic way, rather than simply relying on, mainstream medicine, endless amounts of psychotropic drugs, that kind of thing. I commend you for that decision, because I do think that's the way to sustainable wellness, and I, of course, the first person that I did that for was myself, really. I found the sustainable ways to process my traumas and achieve sustainable happiness. And that's what I can teach to you. And that's what I'm here to do. So just bear that in mind. I will say that here lately, all of my mental and emotional wellness coaching clients are that. They are the people who are ready to get better. And when they come to me, we are finding that people are making really rapid progress. I don't know if just that something's changed in the field out there in the universe to where it's just supporting rapid evolution, or maybe I've just gotten that good, or maybe I'm just attracting the right people that are very close to being well anyway, and just need that last little bit. But whatever level you're at, come to me, because I have multiple layers of expertise here that can help you along your way. And just keep in mind that we're staying focused on the goal, and the goal is your sustainable mental and emotional wellness, aka happiness, aka whatever you define success as for yourself. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to meeting you and to working with you. Take care.